And that has become the rule by which certain people live. And that rule, it destroys the concept of integrity in itself. It means if your purpose is to become rich, once you can attain that greatness or rich or wealth, the way you got there does not matter. Now that's what that principle says. That once you can get it, how you got there really does not matter. That's the way our politicians are. That's the way the political class are. That's the way lots of civil servants are today. That's the way lots of people in the corporate world are today. Just get there. Just arrive at that destination. And that's the thing that's driving a lot of our youths today. The people no longer understand process, are no longer willing to pay the price to arrive at the destination. But their life is completely hinged on bending corners and bending everything that is possible. Sadly, our world celebrates charisma. We celebrate performance. We celebrate the unique expressions of people. And sadly, many of us do not even demand integrity from our leaders anymore. We accept anything. Nigeria, case in point. We give excuses for failure. We defend it with all our might. As long as the man is from our area. I mean, look at what is happening with the killings in Nigeria. The North is silent. Generally silent. And yet they are the most affected with banditry and kidnapping. But they're generally silent. You find a few voices. Why are they silent? Let's not speak about against our man. If the president had been from another part of the country, the entire North would have been in arms and in flames coming against that leadership. But we would rather, because he's our own, we cannot talk. Do you know that even in our friendships, it's like that? That when we see those we relate with towing a different path, not walking in integrity because of our relationship, we fail them in not sitting them down to say, guy, this isn't right. This needs to be corrected. These things need to be straightened out. But we say that once the person can perform, once the person has grace, once the person is showing skill, once the person is showing competence, that's fine. But you know, in the long run, if you don't have integrity, all your grace will become disgrace. All your competence will be discounted. All the things that took you to whatever height, at the end of the day, because of a lack of integrity, you will fall down flat on your face. Psalm 78 verse 72 is a scripture that speaks so much and undergirds this. And it's about David. We all know this about David, that David was a shepherd boy. And when God had determined that he would become king, he was brought from the backside of a desert and he was anointed by Prophet Samuel. But when you read about David's life, you find out that David did not just remain a shepherd, he became a king. But the verse we're about to read says something very unique. It says he shepherded them according to the integrity of his heart, and he guided them by the skillfulness of his hands. The integrity of his hands is character. The skillfulness of his hands is charisma. So we find the two in one. Now hear me. When I mention David, most times people go to the fault of David and the sin of David. But do you know that even within the fault or sin of David, we see integrity. And I explain what I mean. David took Bathsheba's wife. Uriah's wife. And he had Uriah placed in the forefront of the battle. And Uriah died. And David was living his life as if nothing was wrong, until Nathan the prophet confronted him. And David's response in the confrontation was not to defend himself. David said, "Oh Lord, I have sinned against you." It was like a man who just woke up to a new reality. And do you know that that is integrity? So when we speak about integrity, it's not as if you won't make mistakes. It's not as if you won't sometimes fall down flat on your face. But you accept responsibility for where you fail. Somebody else would have said, "Is the woman. I was minding my business. And she was having her bath in a place where I would see her." Blaming someone else for your own personal failure. Are you getting what I'm saying? It's a simple lack of integrity. So when our leaders say, "Well, is Nigeria